You're live.
You're welcome, folks. This is House Corrections and Institutions Committee. Yeah, hang on a second. This is Tuesday, March 17th, St. Patty's Day. And let's start doing markup for our capital bill. And I do have to get a text off for 1 second. Are they still? Still?
Yeah, I just talked to Sean.
So, major maintenance, section 2, the capital bill, we're starting markup, major maintenance. Now, when we do the budget adjustment, we can also go into the FY26 budget as well, if we have to pull money from there as well. Sometimes the money that we've put in FY26, the project may not have been moving forward as quickly as been hoped. And depending how much money has gone out the door on a particular project, depending how much is left, plays into how much money would be in FY27. Okay, so it's not just looking at FY27, it's looking at the 2 years. And even though the governor has not proposed a budget adjustment for some of the line items, doesn't mean we can. Does that make sense to folks? Because this is a little different process than last year. Okay. So major maintenance for BGS. There is, the governor has proposed. I didn't get my head around this. We put in a total of 8.5 million. And the governor is proposing that we put in an additional 1.
It's normal.
Yeah, I gotta get my head around this. So it'll be an additional 2.7. And trying to read. So we put in cash in FY26, 1.5, and there's an additional 1.2 that the governor has proposed, but he's keeping the bonded at 8.5. I'll speak up at once. What do folks want to do?
And Joe, I've got fund is down to 3 million,
Plus,
less than, yeah, this was January.
right. What one?
The fund, but this fund was down to 3
Existing
million.
funding.
What do people want to do with major maintenance?
I'd be inclined to keep it as is.
Yeah.
It always is just, it gives the flexibility to, it's all the sort of intangible stuff that you don't see on here. It just seems really important with all the pressures we have lately.
We all set there, and to continue with the cash at 1.2 for FY27, 1.281.
I can play around with that stuff a wee bit later, right?
Planning, reuse, and contingency, that was not touched, but last year we put in 250 each year for a total of 500,000. What I have for a balance from the testimony we've received, there's a balance in there from FY24 through FY26. There's a balance of 643,000.
Say that again.
There is, if you go to these documents that came out to us, folks. Planning reuse of contingency from FY 24 through FY 26. There is a balance of 643,130. So for notes that I have that might be playing into this, is trying to figure out what to do with the old Williston Barracks. We're not sure if we're gonna keep that or not. We're kind of evaluating that. And then we have percolating in the Senate is the forensic unit within correctional facility. And we don't know what we're also doing with the Chipman, replacing the Chipman and dealing with any reentry piece, possibly with that. There's 643,000. Now, this is as of January. BTS came in. And what we put in last year and bonded was 250,000. And last year, this isn't showing what it is, and we had 250,000 of cash in FY 26. So what do folks want to do? It's a total of $500,000 over 2 years. FY 26 and FY 27. They have 643,000. You know, it's hard to get back engaged. Don't look at me. Make a decision.
I think.
Remember, we're looking for money too.
Yeah.
Just to put out what's out there. In terms of housing for state colleges that came in as a request, so we don't have to do it. This is what's dangling out there. $1 million. There's 1.3 million for the reconfiguration of the entry to the State House and ADA. 200,000 plus for the recovery houses, which is really out of. And then we wanted to also address Wi-Fi within our correctional facilities, which is last year what we were looking at was 3 million. And appropriations has asked if we could help them in any way.
What does that mean? They can do whatever they want unilaterally, but
Well, it's yes and no, but they would like us to free up cash.
was there a hypothetical number that was mentioned? No?
So we've got a lot of pressures. I'm just laying the table,
So,
setting the table out there. What's that? So Joe,
yeah, maybe you could flag that as a maybe. I mean, maybe that could be trimmed a little bit, but I don't think it's, maybe get back to it, but I don't think it's reasonable to say anything further than that until we get through this markup a little more.
Yeah, I did just a question. So you may have said it, Chair. So 680 some thousand,
640.
640. How does that relate to the $420,000 number that's committed for like 111 State Street, Cherry Street, other locations, right? It's, I'm looking at the document here. It's committed 420,000.
It's I didn't write that down, but is that?
Planning reuse and contingency.
You're
The
in a
date on the
different
document?
You're in a
Another one on the
different-
website here for today.
I'm sure that's what I testified on.
The, the 400,
Like that. Yeah.
400, I was looking at the wrong date.
Is there a
I
date?
was looking at the wrong date. I don't have this here. I don't- I was looking at the wrong date.
You're looking at 25, not
No,
26.
I was looking at, I was looking at January 8th. Yeah, so there's a balance. That one's even more for the. Because you've got committed.
I just don't want to hear that this was mine.
So what this sheet shows here is a balance of 944,000. Right? Does that include or not the 420,000 that's committed?
It does not.
It does not. So 420 minus 944.
Joe, what date is that one that you showed us?
It is.
It should be around the date you have.
I saw.
Thank you.
So we're really looking more like a 420 balance here.
I'm gonna step out and show my ignorance.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure there's a good reason, but if I had to start from scratch, I'd have a column in here that shows what monies are still encumbered for each one of these line items. I know you've got it there, but why wouldn't we put it on here so we can see the whole picture rather than piecemeal?
That's what we send the pictures about.
I just looked
Well,
up 2020.
position for joint fiscal outcomes.
It's my time in this baby, it's my time.
Fluctuates in time.
No.
So if you put it on a spreadsheet, do you have a question, Scott?
I apologize, Rick. You guys-
So my ignorant question is would it be possible to add a column in here that shows what monies, what funding
Let's go to Joe and then.
is not yet encumbered for each of these categories? So we can see what's left over as of whatever date you want to pick, so that we can compare it to what we think we want to do fiscal year 27.
For the record, Scott Moore, Joint Fiscal Office. If I understand your question correctly, Rep. Winter, it is possible to add a column for what's unencumbered and. I think you're okay. The tricky part is because these are living, breathing documents, it would change potentially every single day. So I would hesitate to put something out there that you're gonna be basing decisions on, knowing that this morning Joe could have written a check and the number is 100,000 less than it was last night.
Yeah, that's not gonna last long.
That's my one qualm about doing that.
But in the absence of a line in the sand, we're going back to old documents that are dated who knows when, and they're not consistent, and we're trying to do math on the fly rather than having a consistent line in the sand that we can compare to. I'll shut up from there.
That's part of markup. That's why
Okay.
at the beginning of this session, we take testimony.
Yep.
And get the background and the documents. And then when we do markup, we go back to those.
There we go.
items
This is,
we had. And we will have more questions.
I found a 944.
And then we can ask BGS for further in-depth discussion, but then determines what we project to put on the line item. So that's the process we're going through right now. Can we have one conversation? So for planning, reuse and contingency, the information that we were given on January 22nd in this document here was, they showed a balance of 944,000. But of that, 420,000 has been committed. So that leaves a balance of 524,000. For planning and reuse. that includes it includes the FY 27 bonded dollars. It also includes the FY 26 cash. So it's everything that they have, which is 250 and 250 for the 2 fiscal years.
Mhm.
And so theoretically, at the end of FY 27, they would have 500,000 in the bank that could be used for other items throughout FY 27. Because you've got 120 and 111 State Street is committed. The USA, that's your alternative locations for your state police barracks, not barracks, but facilities. That's in planning only, but there is money elsewhere in the bill for that possibly, or there has been money appropriated for that elsewhere in previous bills.
I don't think the language is there to do the search term for the.
There would only be planning to do this.
You're finding,
And where are we with 108 Cherry?
only charity is sort of back in BGS's lap. Potential purchase and sales that we had has lapsed due to some of the findings that we found or through testing and whatnot from the prospective buyer. So we're sort of regrouping on that. Haven't closed it out, still talking to the prospective buyer, but that's where we're at.
Why do you need, because we're putting 108 Cherry up for sale. Why do you need planning reuse and contingency for
Yeah,
108?
start with, for the record, Joe Age of BGS. What we're looking at right now, if that potential buyer still walks away, it's what are we doing with the facility? Can we continue to put it up for sale? Do we have to do another assessment? I know right now we're also looking at, BGS Security is looking at issues with the exterior of the building, with the ramps and the archways, the way that building is designed, and some of the homeless issues that are going on, to do more protection to keep them further away from the property, which means plywooding up some of the entrances. So there's potential of that. Exactly what I'm gonna do. Do we have to do another structural analysis that we have not done for several years since we decided to the property? Since we had a purchase and sales agreement in place, the structural engineer may require us to complete another one to deem that it's still safe to go into the building. And while you're talking live and up to date, I mean, I've also spent out of this fund, on like the Waterbury subdivision of a cornfield, roughly $20,000 on that. I'll be spending more for a wastewater permit to complete our Act 250 application. So there are still funds coming out of this. It's also our contingency fund projects that do go over.
So where are we as a committee here?
Sounds like we want to leave this alone.
But folks,
That's my.
I was gonna propose shaving a little bit there.
How much?
Well, like, I'm just wondering, Mike, it looks like it's a $250,000 a year appropriation generally. I don't know how that compares with previous years here. But if you have 520 left in the bank, that's more than double what a single year would be for the last year. So if you put a bit off that, would that still be enough to cover what we have with all the projects we just talked about?
What's a bit?
Oh, did I not say a number?
No.
150,000.
I mean. Yeah, but I would flag it as a maybe, because the question is, I mean, there's some other things that want to be funded, one of which I'm fairly sure we universally aren't interested in funding from a philosophical perspective. And so then it's just a relative merit thing. So I would suggest just flagging it as a maybe small deduction. As we work through the whole thing. We don't have to make a ruling on each item as we go, do we? We do?
We can go back to it.
We can come back to it. We'll be going.
Oh, okay, yeah.
4 times. This is the first walk. So what's going on at the 120 State Street, 111 State Street? For planning reuse and
For
contingency.
projects there, we do give some money back. Towards this biennium. And this half the biennium. Still the 120 out there, how we're going to incorporate that project in with potential flood mitigations that are going on, same with 111. Whether or not we're going to have to move people around for the flood mitigations that we're going to do and or the renovations. What we don't want to do is start a flood mitigation work in 133 State Street and have people have to relocate. Then go, the 120 project's going to be somewhat on pause yet again. So we're trying to incorporate them both projects concurrently, so we don't have that issue. Both projects can go on.
So is that all part of working through FEMA in terms of knowing what you're gonna be doing?
FEMA will not pay for anything on the 120 project for 111.
But,
Would be,
but isn't that, but can you move ahead in doing some of that without knowing what FEMA's gonna do for the rest of the Capitol complex?
that's why we've put the stop, I have not put the RFP out for design on 120 State Street yet because of that. We're not far enough along with FEMA to know whether or not we're going to do accept a 428 plan, which is all the Capitol complex as a whole, or have to go to individual buildings. It's individual buildings, because that turns out dollar wise to be the better way to go. And that's what we're, 120, I'm not sure how 120 comes to that mix. It makes it a bit difficult. But I don't know yet. So these are some of the things that bringing in a planner to help us evaluate some of those items as to who can go where.
So when you say the 420,000 is committed, it's not encumbered.
It's not encumbered, it's committed, and that by going through these projects here and some of the smaller ones, but we're looking at using the planning money for in the reuse. That's what we believe is a good number. And then the balances for our projects throughout FY 27 that we're not aware of yet and are continues.
And that's where the 524. And the 944, if you take away the 420, leaves you 524 to get you through FY 27.
When you look at projects that are under BGS's control of having the funding or to BGS, we'll look at some of them in other sections. If the project does come in over budget, we potentially just have to put it on hold. We don't, and that's what the contingency fund is for. And that, you know, we shouldn't use that contingency. It's supposed to be in the 15 years.
So Connor, you threw out that we shave it by 150 or leave it at 150?
No, shave it, but
Which, so that leaves you 100.
number two. I mean, I was thinking more 520 minus 150, right? With what's in the bank here.
So.
Yeah, but you're still, yeah, but you're still,
But that's something to put aside, right?
I just know by the end of the sheet, we're gonna be saying, where did we look? You know, that's.
Right.
Mhm. Okay, well, we can flag that. This is our first walkthrough. So you're saying for FY 26 or FY 27,
So I don't know, you know.
you shave it by 150.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Between that 500. Oh, wait, never mind.
Yeah.
Jesus, probably. I was
So
adding
you've
the same
got,
number together.
yeah, you've got one figure,
Mhm.
FY 26, 250 cash. And then FY 27, you've got 250 bonded.
Mhm.
Where do you want to take it from?
Oh, man, now it's the interrogation of me here.
No,
Team
you
effort.
can't just take it off.
I gotta disagree. I don't think we should take anything out of it.
Sorry, folks.
I mean, that's their leaner. If something comes in over budget and then we can't get something out the door that we have all this money invested in already and I mean, it's an important amount of money for them to have. I'd rather nix the friggin' State House entry and completely zero that thing out, since that's not going anywhere, than shave their contingency fund by 150K. Because that's like, oh, we didn't have 25K and then we don't get $3 million out the door because we're short, because that contingency fund's short. That's a problem.
Folks,
That's what you were saying, right? Sean?
Yeah, I agree with Gina. It sounds like Joe's saying that this is like, I mean, I don't like to say slush fund, but it sounds like it's a place for him to go to make stuff happen with a contingency, with the sale of 108 Cherry. If, let's say, they need to shore something up and it's preventing us from making $5 million on it or whatever, it seems to me that that's
It's like, there's plenty of other places I'd be happy to cut money.
correct. I'm with you on that.
Contingency fund.
you're getting outvoted there, Connor. Other folks?
What's new? Sorry, I'm just a bit of a fiscal conservative.
Get that.
Please on either side of me.
One, the 150,000 for the State House.
Bathroom projects?
Other folks, do we keep it as is or do we shave it?
I'd say keep it as is for at least for the time.
Right. I still think it's worthy of flagging for possible revisitation here later on.
I'm in the maybe corner.
So why don't we flag it? Let's not cut anything at this point, but just flag it.
I flagged it on my phone.
Okey-dokey. So moving on, physical security enhancements. These are your card access, security enhancements coming into buildings. We had 250 in bonded. What the governor is proposing is I'm assuming keeping the 250 in bonded for 27 and adding 225 to that
In cash.
in cash on top of the cash that we had in FY 26.
Which is another flag there.
Which is 475 total cash.
Expended at 64.6 right now.
Is that?
Expended right now to date is 64.6, well, as of whatever this was, Jane.
And the balance is 660,000, which includes the cash for FY 26. It includes the bonded 27 at 250 and the cash at 225. This is for card readers, cameras, and lockdowns and panic buttons. So they've expended of all of that, which is 725,000. They've expended 64,000 to date for a balance of 660. And the balance, what is it now? Do you know, Joe?
We have expended 167,000.
On top of,
That includes the 64.
so
So
you,
it's 100,
That's
today's
more.
cash was today's amount was 167,470.
Say that one more
that
time.
167,470 is what we've expended.
but that includes the 64.
That is correct.
So it's really 103.
20.
Additional.
So you have about 555, 560.
Take 100 from that.
Good question.
Mhm.
On our original walkthrough on this, we skipped this line because the commissioner wanted to discuss it separately, but I'm not recalling that separate discussion.
I have the note too that wanted,
Did we have that conversation?
don't remember. I do not remember.
I mean, can I ask Joe?
Yeah.
Joe, so explain that, will you spend this money this year? Is this a place that we could trim a little bit?
I really can't answer that. It's up to the security director
Yep.
to answer that. I know his projects are separate than mine.
Yep.
Like if I'm doing a project, I incorporate this work. This is above and beyond those projects. So Another door has to be added, it's his budget, if you've got to replace boards, whatever, it's all.
I'm on the break as well. For the record, Bill Anderson from Finance and Management. There's a plan within BGS, including in the adjustment numbers, you'll see reflected here to shift security costs currently in the operating budget, the capital bill where they should belong, to exactly the infrastructure enhancements that you were referencing, Madam Chair. So the expectation would be yes. Funding that's currently there is going to be spent this year, and the funding expected or requested the governors recommend will be used in FY 27, where we previously had been in the operating budget.
And why would it be in the operating budget? What's in it that justifies moving it to the capital bill? Why was it was originally in the operating budget?
Probably should have been in the capital bill all along. Can't speak to initially why some of this was included in the operating budget, but it would be better suited to be included in capital bill, because these are like physical enhancements, card readers, the like, that we're trying to put into buildings.
But we've been funding this for quite a while. So has it been split between the capital bill and the general fund? Because we've been funding this for a while.
Say it's been split between the capital bill and fee for space, internal service fund, which is then distributed across departments.
I'm still saying 100K out of it.
So because of pressures on the general fund, you're moving stuff over to this bit.
I would
Because if it's coming out of fee for space,
say, Madam Chair, the reasoning behind it is because the administration wants the capital bill to represent investments in physical infrastructure, rather than trying to get one pressure in one fund to another place. It's more about the actual investments that we're trying to make in security.
well, currently, they have about 555, 560 to get them through FY 27.
455 sounds good to me.
Out of 100.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that's to me, I don't know, it seems like that's a place where we could grab 100 grand and just put it aside. Just a thought.
Other folks?
I mean, if it's gonna get spent, I want to spend it, right? Like, that's the thing. This is important stuff. It's,
Well, isn't the money we're putting aside here gonna get spent?
Well, here's my question is, if Wanda wanted to come back in, is there time for her to come the
Mhm.
next day or so to speak about the specific issue
Mhm.
that didn't get readdressed?
Yep.
Yeah.
So let's say we'll bring Wanda back. Bring the commissioner back.
Make a note here too.
Yeah. So we'll see if we can schedule her in tomorrow. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
3 acre stormwater compliance. We put in 1.5 in FY 26 and 1.1 in FY 27. So we have got to date, and what we had for testimony in January, which includes the bonded money for 26 and the bonded money for 27, plus previous appropriations. There's a total that they had in hand at 5.8 million.
Uh-huh.
And they were going to do central services in Middlesex, St. Albans Correctional Facility, and the Pittsburgh Criminal Justice Training Council.
We also had them delayed. And that
We robbed them last year.
construction was anticipated by April, and I'm just curious if there's an update on that.
Yeah.
Those 3 projects are permitted and went to bid in February. So have we gotten anything back? Do we know a little bit, Joe, where we're headed?
It actually did not get out in February. They're sitting there waiting to get out. We just have to finish processing that to get them on the street for bidding. But we are under a time frame by Agency of Natural Resources to complete these 5 years of permit.
5 years of their permit.
Permit.
And when did their permit?
So that was last year. St. Albans, in Pittsburgh, I think.
This is where we shave a bunch of money
Yep.
for, yeah.
Looks like there's also
Because
some
it's
money in
taking
there.
forever.
Are you so worked up to that?
I'm not a big fan of the 3 years.
No, I
Compliance.
I know, but if
All
you're
the-
under a requirement
Showing
to
600
complete in 5 years of your permit, we don't know if that's gonna change or
We've only
not between now and then.
The first thing.
So when was the permit issued for those three?
We're about a year ago. On average, for those three. We're still
So-
working towards the other ones. We do have a permit for Virgins. That is roughly also in that same time frame, probably that was more of a year and a half old. It's just that when we did go to the city of Virgins. The issue there was still at the delivery of the potential youth facility, and they were looking for us to upgrade the sidewalk that was out there, and still I have not been able to find out who actually owns that side.
We don't have any ballpark on any of these, do we? On what the costs are gonna be?
No, I don't have that with me.
Well, what I've got for Middlesex was 300,000. St. Albans Correctional was 1 million. And the Pittsburgh was 500 to 800,000. So 2.1 million at the most. So we have 5 years from the time it's permitted. We have to complete the project.
So you don't have any construction dates yet?
I do not.
Last we heard in January was construction by April. That's not gonna happen.
I have my.
Yeah.
They hit this, we're out to bid. Let's say next week,
I would keep it like,
it was in June, mid-June, the construction.
Quick question for
Uh-huh.
Mr. Aja. What happens if we don't do this in 5 years?
No penalties.
But it's 5 years from the time of the permit.
But the penalty is basically zero, because if we would pay the penalty to ourselves.
It's 5 years from the time of the permit, right?
yeah.
So the ones, take this through folks. So the ones that have a permit is Virgins. They have a permit, which is about 1.5 years old. Middlesex, St. Albans, and Pittsburgh, they each have a permit, and that's about 1 year old. So you're talking from 2025 to 2030 or 2029 for Virgins. And I don't know where that falls within the calendar year. So I'm assuming the clock starts ticking within a calendar year, not a fiscal year. I don't know.
It would have been, I believe it's calendar.
It's calendar year, so you're overlapping 2 fiscal years. So if it's needed in, say for Jens, it's needed by calendar year 29. You've got,
You know, year at least to. Complete the work. It's gotta be under construction 20 years.
how is it likely if you go out to bid and get, pick a contractor, they would be able to do it, or would they already be filled, their calendar works?
I never know that. That's a good question because that's asked every time we go out to bid and sometimes we get 0 bids, sometimes we get 5 or more.
Right.
Depends on what the climate is and the time frame that they have a window on. Things are looking up. We have more people, more contractors who have been interested in bids, but we don't know that.
Mhm.
But to continue on that with Newport, Newport's well underway we have to resolve the stormwater permit for the compliance there before we can start construction of our boiler plant up there, which is looking to be later this year. We're hoping to start work, whether it's on, because we're having to rearrange the stormwater ponds. So that work could start soon, sooner than later, once we have a permit in hand. So in Newport, those two are tied together. If I can't move my stormwater ponds, be excavating for the building, starting work on the boiler plant this year.
So it's tied in, Newport is tied into the boiler plant. And do you have a permit right now for Newport?
No,
For the
because those two
stormwater?
are sort of back and forth on how we can fit the building with our stormwater ponds that are right there. And so we believe we had a plan. Let's see, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, I saw a plan come across my desk for review. It looks doable. So then if we all agree we're moving forward, then send the permit to ANR and get approval on that.
So that one would be a higher priority in a way than Middlesex, St. Albans, and Pittsburgh. And it might be on equal par with Virgin's possibly.
Well, they all potentially, Virgin's, I've got faith in that I'm not moving forward with that one as much as maybe Pittsburgh or St. Albans. Because in Pittsburgh, we also have the firing range potential that's coming out in a year, and then that will, because that's a structure that will add to these 3-acre rule requirements. I gotta go back and then amend that permit. Same with St. Albans with the entryway project. So they could be able to get those done and out of the way before I'm seeking another permit.
And you don't know what the cost would be for some of those projects, like so Newport, let me focus in on Newport. I'd like to know how much money we've put in to date for the boiler. Because we've put in previous capital bill monies for the boiler up in Newport. And then the governor has put in 2 million for FY27. So we've already have some money in the bank for the boiler in Newport.
That is correct, and next biennium will be looking for the balance for that project, for the boiler.
I know, I want to find out how much money we've put in. St. Albans. John's, oh, that didn't show.
Which number, which day did you look at? Was that 16th?
Yeah, but that wouldn't be the right one. That wouldn't be the right one. But it's gotta be under DOC,
BGS, right?
not BGS. So I would like to get the updated number in terms of what we have right now for the boiler project in Newport, because we've put in money in previous capital bills. It's not showing up here.
We'll make it so, Barry.
It was just to get some. Thank you, Joe. See if I can. Some of this.
So you're just trying to find that number so we can figure out how much we really need in.
Yeah, yeah, you gotta
And
find out what we've
what we
done.
can trim.
Right.
Okay,
When I presented on section 3, FY25, we had 3.5 million in bonded funds. FY 27, we're requesting, 2 million in cash. Back then, we had expended $342,000. I know we've done additional work on that. How much had I expended out of that? I'm not 100% sure.
So for Newport boiler, you had 3.5 million prior to FY 26. And then the governor is proposing an additional 2 million in FY 27 for 5.5 million. And you've expended about 300,000 plus, so you got 5 million left. And that will have to be done in conjunction with the stormwater. They kind of go hand in glove, right?
Yes, we have to alter the stormwater ponds to the truck turning radius to get to the boiler.
And how much are you anticipating the Newport project for the ponds?
We're just, like I said, looking at the ponds right now and saying they gotta move. We have not designed that,
So
what it's gonna look like, other than we drew a line on a piece of paper that said if we did this, it appears that the truck turning radius would work for the new boiler building. And now we had to complete that design to actually put contours and lay that out.
So right now, you're in design for the ponds, to move the ponds.
Yes,
Have you gotten permit for Newport yet?
no, we're waiting on trying to work this pond issue out for finalizing the permit.
Are they allowing you to do that? With the bond?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it's just a matter of having to work it out. Where the ponds are located, they're between the access drive, the perimeter drive, a wetland, access to the truck trap, and a chunk of ledge. Other than that, we have plenty of room. So it's truly a rock and a hard place that we're stuck at, trying to make that work. But that's where we're at. We believe we have a plan to move forward on.
God bless you, Joe.
So is any of the 5 million that you have left for the Newport boiler project, is that what you're anticipating the cost for that particular project, where it's not including anything for the stormwater moving around the ponds or anything? It's just for the actual building?
It's for the building and the rework of the property, but the pond should be going through stormwater. And this is that fine line because they're coming concurrent. I've got a stormwater project, I've got a building project. The new building adds square footage to the 3-acre rule, so I have to do stormwater. And so I've got 2 engineers out there, one doing stormwater, the other one doing solar plant. And if, Representative Smith shaking his head, I've also got a 3rd one out there for HVAC. We're gonna do a primary line for the air conditioning system. That's to be crossing paths somewhere through there. So there's a lot going on in Newport. And Springfield, we were lucky. We got out of there just about with door control and out of back of HVAC.
So I'm just trying to think of the cash flow for this. So you're gonna have to move those ponds prior to even doing the construction for replacing the boiler.
Or could be done concurrently. If I get the one contract.
And you can do that without having a stormwater permit in place?
No, I need the permit first, but I still have to finish my design for the building now that I know where the ponds are. But we're looking to have that all in place. Permits in hand by June, now that I've finalized the
Like
permits
this year.
to be able to start the relocation of the stormwater ponds this fall.
You don't know what the cost of that would be for the relocation of the,
That's true.
and you're still anticipating the cost of replacing the boiler and that whole building at about 5 million?
It'll be more than that. I'm not sure exactly what that cost is going to be. I know we've done some work on it. We don't have a construction manager on board yet for that work. Our design, working with the engineer, doing a square foot takeoff, it appears it'll be, and that's how much I could say. I don't recall. But what we're looking to do is to pre-buy our boiler, so we can get that in the works to get it actually built and delivered on site by the time our building is constructed.
So you would pre-buy the boiler in FY 27?
Yes.
Get the building constructed in FY 27.
We have most of the building constructed because the size of this boiler will be craning in the boiler through the roof. It's a metal framed building that we're designing right now. So that'll be relatively simple. Trusses won't be in, and we just fly it. So it's timing with the contractor to make all that work, but I gotta have the boiler ready to go.
And what's the lead time on the boiler?
I don't know. I gotta believe it's like HVAC equipment out there.
Where are we, folks?
I think we can take 2 million out of this thing all day
2
long,
million?
out of the whole balance, yeah. I mean, we don't even have permits pulled for half these jobs.
I'm with Gina on that too. You wanna save money.
And just, you know,
Yeah,
that'll,
put money aside.
that'll, you know, focus on Newport, prioritize these, and if something's hanging in the wind, we'll deal with it when we gotta deal with it, but.
So for the 3-acre parcel,
Mhm.
we have to date put in 1.5 million FY 26 and 1.1 million in 27 for a total of 2.6 million.
Well, and 1.5 for FY 24 and 25 as well.
Right, but what's before us in
Yeah, we
terms of our
can-
adjustments?
Sure, yeah.
It's 1.5 million.
Sure. Yeah, I'm just saying that gives us some flexibility to adjust. Yeah.
Right, and 1.1 million in 27. So that's a total of 2.6 million. So Gina has proposed that we cut them by 2 million, which means the total bonded would be 600,000.
Mhm.
How about-
That doesn't bother me.
How about 100? How about, $1 million or $1.5 million?
Yeah. It's
Just
a little
to give
rich.
some, just to give a little more leeway here.
I can live with 1.5.
Yeah, I mean, I think, whatever.
All right, I can live with $1.5 million.
$1.5 million to cut it, $1.5 million going
Yep.
once, Connor?
Yeah, can I just ask Joe a question about the 2 Montpelier projects there? You know, so the 3-acre rule is the primary benefit is water quality, right? But the added benefit of that is flood mitigation by slowing down the runoff with some of the work you do there. So is that connected, and what kind of pace is that moving at for the 2 Montpelier ones?
The Montpelier one's on hold till we figure out what our hazard mitigation is through FEMA, whether or not we can use any of those funds to help offset the stormwater. If the answer is no, stormwater will go through, but I don't know enough of where my stormwater is going to go because I'm limited to parking lots, a little bit of grass in front of the State House, and where that could go. And depends on what I'm doing with FEMA, potentially our lost square footage of relocating our mechanicals up to the first floor. Right now, that's what we put it on hold. I can't make that call. There's no sense designing it until I know what it is.
Yeah, thanks, Chip.
So I'm gonna ask Scott, if we cut the 2.6 by 1.5 million, that leaves us 1.1. Do we zero out FY 26 bonded? Is that how we could achieve that?
You could do that, or you could just reduce FY 26 bonded by 400 and not fund anything in FY 27.
Wait, say that again.
You can do it either way, because the
Yeah,
money's not out
that's-
the door.
You zero out FY 27 bonded 1.1, and you cut FY 26 bonded by 400.
Okay.
All right.
Folks want to do it that way?
It's fine to me.
I like Scott's suggestion.
Are we okay with cutting it 1.5 million?
Mhm.
the total budget.
Yep.
So you're gonna zero out 27, right? That's proposed. And make 26, 400,
1.1.
1.1.
or 1.1, excuse me.
We'll give it to you.
That's bonded dollars. That's bonded.
Yep.
That's-
There.
You can't give that to folks. But you could move some cash.
Yep.
To bond it.
Okay.
You can't give bonded dollars.
Okay.
Unless it's for projects that are eligible for bonds.
Yeah, so you could, for example, if there was something in the big bill that could be defined within the capital bill, you could then, it could then just migrate over here in if it were eligible for bonded dollars.
If you had something in the appropriations bill that could be eligible for bonded dollars, then you could move bonded dollars over there. But it has to be in general fund budget. It has to be in the appropriations world, but it has to be eligible for bonded dollars.
Understood,
So it's easier to move cash
certainly,
than it is.
because of its fungibility.
No, because you're limited by the feds and state treasurer in terms of what bonded dollars could be used for. It's not fungible.
Catch up.
Okay, let's move on. Art and State Buildings. And we had a conversation earlier this beginning of the session that we didn't want to lock in the 75,000 for a specific moving of dollars and projects within the Art and State Buildings program. We just wanted an opportunity for us to go through markups. So where are we with 75,000 for 26? And 75,000 for 27.
Okay.
Keep it.
I think the testimony we heard is that there's no project right now.
But they wanted to use that money to remind me, Troy, it was kind of not the backfill, but to put it towards
A bigger
a
project.
bigger project.
They're stockpiling it for,
A women's facility, was
no,
it
it's at Northern, isn't it?
It's at Newport.
St. Albans?
potential- Newport Potential Courthouse, which.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is.
Yeah,
You have a project for it.
yes, they do. If only we could find the land.
Gee, a good start.
Asa Bloomer, we have put more money into this building.
Still on track to finish this.
Like to be, yes, so certainly on the sewer side of things, that's well underway and there are some funds, but a lot of this here is that 3.6 million, we are looking for the sewer project. Right now, this week, we'll be putting in a temporary roof because it leaks so bad.
Oh,
Back, go away, that comes out of maintenance. So 200,000. But this roof probably will not because of the skylight that's gonna be replaced. The added work, the delay of getting out the door probably will not happen until late fall or fall of the year.
And we're,
So how
They follow-
long does the temporary roof last?
It's the temporary roof will last 20 years. It's just membrane roofs are that way.
Okay, then
I
it's-
couldn't buy a cheaper roof. If I would, I could have, but that's membrane is the black rubber is the fastest thing to put down and cover the most square footage.
And that'll keep it from leaking.
It'll keep it from leaking on people. Yes. Heads. Lots of that. We get it all replaced.
So how much is the sewer work? That was the biggie.
Right.
How much is the sewer work gonna cost?
I don't have a total on the sewer work. We're still underway, but we're coming to the end of that. But I would have to follow back up to total sewer.
So can you come back with us?
We weren't happy.
that's all the pictures of the guys down like deep in the river, look like something out of Lord of the Rings, right?
Yeah, they were down in the box trench of the sewer, sucking out the sludge. Yes.
Yeah, thanks.
If you could come back to us in terms of what the sewer cost is, because right now, I don't know where you are right now, but the testimony at the end of January was you had 3.6 million.
Yeah.
And that included the 3.6 million in cash for FY 27.
I think they're showing 3.6 right here.
You've expended 3.9. That's what it showed. You had 7.5 million, which also includes the 3.6. And,
Like the dynamite plant.
yeah, I like the dynamite too. So you had, with the 3.6 million that the governor proposed for cash in FY 27, top of the 1.5 bonded in FY 26, and previous appropriations from previous capital bills. After money's been expended, what you showed was 3.6 million. And you hope-
I don't know, I don't know the actual price contracts total for the sewer.
Could you find that? Because what I have here is you want to have that completed by the end of this summer in 26.
One long strike to be done, being done.
So we need to know what that costs, and that would be just for the sewer. You did put in a temporary roof, it was 200,000, and that came out of major maintenance. Was that around the skylight?
It was, there are multiple additions sort of on the building, so it was sort of, if you will, one wing of the Ace of Bloom building. So it goes from an existing neighboring building to,
Did it take care of any leaking around the skylight?
because the leaking in and around the skylight would have been roughly a month and a half ago, where the snow sliding off of the skylight builds up and then works its way into the skylight. So for rain, for the summer season, will be all set.
We'll be all set for the rain.
Yes.
It's
I
only
was
the
really
winter
worried
with the
with the
ice.
snow melt, but we had a good snow melt. Our operations and maintenance team had a very good system of plastic and hoses and funnels to direct the water.
Yeah.
Working as a team.
Well, if you could come back at least with the sewer cost.
Yes.
But we don't know what we're doing there. The Rutland multimodal. Which is kind of
Our
near.
favorite
There's another,
Oh. So we put in 600,000 bonded. The governor has proposed another 900,000 in cash. So to date, with previous capital budgets, including the cash for 27, we're at 2.1 million, and 1.1 of that has already been expended. We had $1 million left. And what I had was that for the 900,000, which is basically the million, will get us to complete priority items.
Last I heard, you were negotiating with the maximum price,
That is correct.
still dealing?
Now we're gonna move forward. We had to shave over $500,000 to bring it on budget. The funds that we had, so we had taken stuff out of the work that we believe can wait for another year.
So what was that maximum?
I don't have the total in front of me, but we're working within our budget of the total balance of 1 million.
1 million.
What we've expended to do, yes.
And what did you let go? You know?
It's called, not really the term of it, but there is a raised concrete slab around the perimeter where you're parking, so that your car overhangs this, sort of stop as like a curb stop plus. That's deteriorating. And that we had decided just to clean off the broken concrete at this point in time and leave it in place. It's not a structural element. We're focusing on structural elements instead. Interesting.
is it a safety hazard with it being?
Now that it was never a safety hazard, other than maybe tripping if you're walking on that front of your car.
Yeah, but that could be a safety
Yes, it
issue.
is. And so that we cleaned that up so that there's no broken concrete, or we will be cleaning up. There's no broken concrete. The worst area, it's not, all doesn't go, the worst area is the RT.
Mary, I just missed Joe. Let's do that.
Yeah. no,
Okay,
it's
you
not
remember that.
so remember seeing it first.
Fair enough.
Where are you folks?
I don't think there's enough money there to, I mean, you leave it alone.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Move on. If you want to take 100 grand or something,
No,
but.
The answer there is there's never gonna be enough money.
Right, exactly.
right,
It's a
exactly.
rumor,
That's why you don't steal from the contingency fund.
Right,
And this comes in at 1.1.
right.
So leave as is, right?
Yep.
Okay, jokey. Oh, the firing range, you touched on that a little bit there, Joe. This is at the Pittsburgh Academy. And we put in 200,000 in FY 27. So how far along are you right now? You want to do?
Spent the dime.
I say we yank this in its entirety and we put this money where we need it.
Well, this is for training for our officers, which right now can be pretty dangerous because there's no roof on there. And the snow and ice. gets in. So it was to do the roof. It was to extract lead in the earth bank that's behind it and to have a longer range. That was the goal.
And
And the funds were to complete the design documents.
Okay.
they still have construction documents in the works somewhere?
Don't we have started?
Yeah, that's why I'm saying, why don't we just pull this right now, and then when we're ready to like do this project, fully fund it for design documents and put some real money in there, it's 200 just sitting there.
So you mentioned, Joe, that there's some stormwater issues there as well.
Yes, we have. We have
And is-
stormwater permit in hand, ready to go.
Did that anticipate a longer firing range?
Not. Because where we're doing the stormwater is not in that area. It's around the main facility. Then we're calculating that. So what this impact right now is, it does rain inside of the building. So it is a pervious roof right now until we put a roof over it. But not knowing exactly what that design is, I don't know what the square footage would be to add to the acreage. And so the reason we were looking for the 200,000 to start is to get the design underway. So to actually know what the construction estimate would be for the next biennium, hopefully, the ask.
So it's been proposed that we zero this out. It's bonded dollars.
We're gonna need those construction documents if we're gonna fund this.
At some point, but I'm just saying, like, let's start looking at
I
the
got
projects
you.
that we need to put money into and put plenty of money into those instead of like just, construction documents that are gonna be no good by the time we get enough money to fund the project to put the roof on.
That's what I was afraid of. A lot of times we have to redo. all
Yeah, we end up having to do it over and
designs
over again.
because-
It's just like, when we're ready to move on, it, give them $1.5 million so they can design it and build it, send it out the door.
Are folks comfortable with zeroing this out?
I want to reuse this money on other projects, so I'm not trying to give this money to approach as I cut these things willy-nilly.
Well, it's bonded.
Bonded.
Chuck,
Other folks?
Well, I mean, even if it's bonded though, bonded money could be used to offset 27 cash too.
We're not there yet,
But I'm
folks.
just saying that it could very well be.
Not there
So if
yet.
we pull this and you no longer have the capacity to do construction documents, what does that do for the overall project? Does it delay it by another biennium?
Yes. And so what I would do, the next biennium would be the first half of the biennium, that's for half of the money, maybe for the project, the second half, the balance. I don't know yet what my workload's going to be, so I don't know how to better plan that.
And if you had this 200,000 for construction documents, when would you contract that?
I would hope to get it out this fall. Then we'd be out for design. We'd have a number ready for the biennium.
And how long has this project been in the hopper?
I think we used some planning money a while ago to see if it was doable.
How
So I think
long,
it's-
how long while ago? And I'm not trying to be hard.
No, I think it was a year and a half ago. I think we evaluated it. No, that's wrong. Sorry. That was when Kevin Henderson was still here. 4 years ago is when I believe we did an analysis just to see what we could do and have a structure.
But see, that's my concern, and I know it's not your issue because you're dealing with the funding and what you can be doing and with contractors and that. But I'm afraid we keep getting to a point where putting money in for plans and different things, and yet the buildings are deteriorating more over 4 years. So are we really fixing anything? And I know you are technically, but are we doing the overall picture?
You have your hand up, James?
I was gonna ask if you have the money for your pond.
For what?
Stormwater?
Stormwater?
I don't know. Until you decide how much money in stormwater to give me on what project I
Stormwater.
move forward with. I gotta go back and evaluate that.
The reason I asked is, I mean, we could put this toward that.
Right?
We've heard it sort of secondhand on the need for improvements on this firing range for the academy. We haven't heard that from the academy itself, the importance of this firing range. We've heard that,
Well, if you zero it out.
that's what I'm getting at.
That hallway will be packed.
We've heard that the academy would benefit from a longer range. And we've heard that winter training, especially when it snows, is impacted right now without a roof. But we heard that secondhand. I think we heard that from you, Joe.
Yes.
So I'm just saying that's right. This is for the academy. I understand. We've been, yeah.
Well, we could zero it out and see what happens.
I say,
Walleye.
I'm with you. I'm with Gene on that too.
I mean, I'm not saying don't do the project.
Yeah,
I'm just
right,
saying
but for
put it
now,
out for
for
now,
now.
We're ready to do it,
Yeah.
fund it.
Yeah.
This will turn into a wall.
But we won't know if we can fund it until we have the construction documents.
But we have to do it. We have to fund it at some point. I'm just saying that like, let's zero in on less projects and spend that money in its entirety and get some of these things out of the door as fast as possible because construction costs are just going crazy. They're not up and everything's costing us more,
Yeah.
you know, so rather than look for design documents on 8 projects, let's get design documents on 4 and fund those 4 because that's probably what we'll end up pulling off anyway.
Right.
It's a question for Joe. I don't really understand what makes construction docs go out of style. Like, what, you know, they've been around for a while and now you got to do them again. Is that, and if so, why?
Code changes.
Okay.
So when you go out and you just do the construction documents and do not move forward with a permit,
Yeah.
any changes in code then could be applicable when you go back out to bid and get and seek that permit. So if you get the permit in hand, then you're supposed to be doing construction within a year. Yeah, so there are times when that has lapsed and that we do it because the project's been on pause for one reason or another, that code has changed. Not a lot.
Yeah, I
We
guess
do
that was gonna be
try
the
the-
follow-up question, you
The
know?
whole idea is to pay as you go to spread this out because I can have somebody doing design, working on design while they're also watching a construction project from my project managers. And so that sort of spreads that out and brings something to do doing construction instead of just all construction or all design at once.
Right. Thanks.
So where are we, folks? Zero it out or keep it in? Zero it out, we put out a trial balloon.
We'll be having more testimony on this if we zero it out, I bet. The door's knocking.
And we'll go to the
Should we do the right thing and ask for the testimony?
We could do that.
I would suggest we ask for the testimony because we never got it directly from them.
There's a roof on it now, like in those pictures, right?
Yeah.
But as you can see where the sunshine is coming through and hitting the ground,
Yeah.
that is where the rain and the snow come in.
Come in and then make it slippery and deadly.
Put a temporary roof on it.
In the
Can some rubber membrane slam down there?
little puddle.
Little bitch
You
of
can't
thing.
get it tight, you can't get it tight enough.
Oh, we were going to, unbelieve.
So you want to have testimony on it before we make a decision? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Commissioner here.
I don't know. Would it be the commissioner or is it? Would it?
Ultimately, or it is the director of fire safety who is council, or chair of the council,
And who is the?
Mike DeRosa.
So it'd be Mike DeRosa or Commissioner Morris. And it has to be ASAP, like tomorrow.
200K. All right, moving on.
Okey-dokey.
Number 9,
Let's keep going.
one of
State
our
House.
favorites.
This is to deal with the interior of the State House.
50K, moving on.
Yeah, thank you.
Get there?
Do we
I
need to
wonder
beat that
if-
down?
Is it by saying replacement of historic interior finishes might limit it a little bit to what it could be used for? Because sometimes, like one thing I've noticed going up to the cafeteria on the ramp, rugs are really getting worn again.
That's what this one
Yeah,
is
that's
for.
what this.
But if you're
for.
saying historic interior finishes,
Carpets are finished.
It's not.
It's not the original.
Get rid of the word historic
But I
of
think
interior.
that is, I think that's sort of what the intent was. David, curator needing funds to patch that carpet like we did at Super.
right, I was-
That it's,
I would suggest taking out historic.
Yes,
Yeah, just kill that word.
right, because
Because I think it's limiting a little bit.
Was this the same pool that we're potentially backfilling with money from repo? Do you remember this? Remember that? There was a section, I don't have my notes, hold on, let me get my notes in front of me.
Okay, State House repointing,
Again, that has to happen.
Let's,
219,000. So what have you done so far? That,
starting, or developing the RFP. The hard part is developing a scope of everything that is included and trying to provide enough information for design firms to bid on this. So the project manager's working on that and it's just been going through a couple of renditions.
so, oh,
This is to start the design process. It would probably be for schematic design, maybe a little bit of design development to get us in there because of everything that has to be evaluated. The roof, the walls, the windows, the gutters.
again, how long has this been in the hopper?
This started a few years ago when we started investigating after repointing the east entrance and finding out that we had a moisture issue, bringing in an individual from Chicago who was very well versed in this type of construction and mortar. We were using planning funds for that. And he found a whole slew of things and recommendations for us to be moving forward with. And this is going to be a multi-year, multi-phase project.
this is millions.
Yes,
This is millions.
it's from the roof down.
We have no other choice. You gotta fix it.
You gotta,
Hey, ready? Then we gotta keep it going.
Yeah, that 219's gotta stay.
so 219.5, does that get you through schematic?
Yes, from what I know now, I'm saying that,
The whole,
yes. If not, it'll be by the time it goes out on the street and everything else. I will know more certainly next year as we're working our way through it. Certainly when the proposals come back in, I don't know.
So hopefully by January 27, your schematic will be done and then we have a better idea of what the cost is. Okay, keep going. 120 State Street. God, we keep
Get
doing
across the way.
We gave that back to you.
the full 2 million.
Reallocated.
Yeah.
Right there, balance is zero.
Zero.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're very generous, Joe.
Very
Thank
much
you, Joe.
team.
Thank you, Joe. You're all right.
But keep giving.
The gift that keeps-
That's good. That makes us feel a little guilty now, so it might work out for you now. Oh, and he reallocated the next one too. Wow.
Wait a minute.
There's a balance
No.
there.
Didn't reallocate. Wait a minute. So you bonded 2 million in FY 2027 for 120 State Street. It still shows up
Yes,
bonded for FY 27. You didn't reallocate that. You still got 2 million for 120 State Street. You have 2 million bonded
Yep.
in FY 27.
It's a mistake then.
You still have 2 million in FY 27.
Joe,
Did you see
And
my,
then you have 2 million in the governor's
Scott's
proposed.
got his hand out. Alice, Scott's got his hand.
Scott.
I'm sure if you do look at the reallocation section, there's $1 million in cash that's
Yeah.
reallocated. But both Joe and you are correct.
So there's still 2 million in there for bonded dollars.
So there's
There's
$1
a million in
in cash.
cash that got reallocated.
Hold on. So what does that mean?
So $1 million in cash got reallocated, that then goes to our bottom line. Because I know there's a section in there of reallocations that's cash.
It's spent somewhere else, where exactly, I don't know. Because of the nature of fungibility, but part of the cash fund total is a certain dollar amount, and then all that money's been recommended by the governor on different other levels.
So we're playing music.
Okay, that's gonna lead to more conversations with the courts. Who has jurisdiction?
Then, but we're still showing $2 million of bonded for 27.
Yes. Yep.
Is this even correct?
But it doesn't show on this slide from BGS. That says nothing for bonded for 27.
remember there being a typo or something. One of these.
It says 2 million for bonded care.
No, you stopped it on here.
On the spreadsheet,
Let's say 2 million in bonded dollars for,
but not in the slide.
right. So that would bring your total to 4 million. When are you, I mean, we've been funding this for a while. Are we actually gonna go, do we have design documents ready to go out to construction for this project?
We do not. We've not started that process. The reason for giving some funds back is, as I mentioned earlier, the interaction with the flood recovery, and how that's going to play into.
Right. And that's part of FEMA.
It is part of FEMA, which is supposedly to be resolved in 60 days supposedly.
By the summer.
Right, so we should have a price from FEMA that we're agreeing to be moving forward, and then it's going to be exactly what we're doing, but I don't know if it's gonna be some of this 428 for something more flexibility or work on each individual building. Time right thereof.
And 120, because it really wasn't damaged during the flood. But it would be seen as part of the capital complex decision with FEMA.
Would not be part of FEMA's decision. What we're looking at is when we go to renovate that building, what are we going to be doing? Right now, there's multiple different types of air conditioning systems in that building. We will be doing one system. But part of the thought has been also that while we're doing one system for 120 State Street, does it make sense to maybe pick up 116 State Street for air conditioning? Because right now, that's a lot of window units, floor mounted units that air conditioning that building have just sort of one larger chilling system for that side of the street. And the two buildings, I don't know if we would try to go to 110. Then you have the other smaller buildings on the other side from 126 to 136. There has been, as we're looking at the whole one-player complex rebuild, looking at those greater ideas, similar to on this side of the street. There's a chiller system for 109 State Street, 111, and 133 State Street. Could we better select just one system in one location as opposed to multiple systems?
For those three buildings. But are all, those three buildings, are they all part of the FEMA conversation? 133 is,
111, 133 are all part of FEMA.
110 is,
Yes.
116 is, right?
What's not part of FEMA is 120 and 122, which is the heat plant out back.
And everything else is,
And right, the buildings on Wall Street.
right, right. But everything on State Street except for 120 and,
So, you know, by looking at it, does it make sense to run chilled water piping to some of the smaller buildings? Probably not, even though we have steam there, there's no room in the trench to put chilled water pipes. But it's something that we would certainly look at as a quick design to go, is it worth it? And to rule it out and then go, well, that would be a better idea for maybe their own little type of mini system or mini splits. Heat pumps that we put in there instead, because they're smaller buildings. It all depends whether or not we can able to capture the lost square footage due to moving mechanicals up to the first floor.
So Joe, your reallocation is equivalent to the FY 23 bond and the FY 25 cash for a total of 225. To Joe's point, to Joe Leno's point, you don't have the governor's recommended FY 27 bonded on your calculations here. Essentially, it's a wash, 2 million. So what was your intent for
To be
reallocation?
giving some of those over funds back.
Okay,
And because we were going to wait and then come back and ask for those funds later, once we do. So,
is that the 2 million and bonded as well?
right, that's what I'm getting at. So is your intent to pause this project altogether? Because then we can have a conversation about the 2 million that the governor did recommend and bonded. That's not on your chart.
listed here.
Yeah,
Was that a typo or was that intentional?
Since you took my other mind.
Yeah, there was $1 million in cash that got reallocated.
Right, and then there's in some bond funds, there's another $500,000 that we reallocated for old money. And there's.
but do you know, was your intent to pause
I think
this project?
The intent was, I think, to pause the project because we were,
You're not going forward.
right, we're gonna come back
Yeah,
when we know more from FEMA and how this whole thing can play out.
and you won't know that through the FY 27 budget.
No, it'll be coming in the next fiscal year.
Okay.
So my 2 million is up for grabs. That's what I'm hearing.
So what happens if we have an agreement with FEMA this coming summer? FEMA will usually pick up some of the cost, but it's a lot of that's reimbursable. How do you get going on what are we gonna do with the complex? I mean, there's gonna be some policy decisions that are gonna have to be made, I'm assuming. And if you're starting even a design work, where does that money come from? Doesn't come from FEMA. Is it coming from your insurance?
There's different pots of money, and this is where we're gonna have to fall back to have the commissioner discuss that as to which fund we start with first. I go Doug Farnham. I don't know, you know.
It would be
how
Doug,
that works.
Be Doug Farnham. Because you gotta have some money
Yeah.
in the bank to start doing some work. Because FEMA isn't gonna give you the money up front.
Right. So I don't know how that works, but there is, they got some kind of things that we've done, it's been charged to fee for space. And then, because then we can pay our bills and then FEMA reimburses us and then that then covers that cost.
So if we zero out this 2 million, it's not gonna hurt us going forward with anything with FEMA for 120. And
That's correct.
so there's 3 million total we're taking from the project. And it leaves you 2 million, it leaves you zero. So we want to zero out 2 million in bonded dollars.
That's what I'm hearing.
Sure. Heard, yes. Okay, about that one.
Go right towards where that goes.
Yeah, listen. I just didn't know.
I thought you were gonna say it goes to ways.
Everything good.
It's so much money.
That's where you put
It's a lot of Wi-Fi.
it. It's 3 million for Wi-Fi. In DOC. That's what it was last year. Middlesex Archives roof replacement. 1
That kind
million.
of has to happen.
Take another million.
We put in 1 million in cash in FY 24, 1 million in bonds. You did
Expense.
reallocate a little bit, so you left with 1 million.
You need that money,
Are you gonna get that done this year?
but it's on the street right now. Bidding perfectly, so we have the price ready to go.
Trying to do it this summer. or
Yes,
fall.
because we know that, I want to do it this summer as soon as we can.
Okay.
Records that are.
I see.
Yep.
That's my vote.
That's your what?
Representative of South Burlington, you agree?
Print and postal. 250 cash in FY 26, 308, it's pretty minuscule.
Yes. And that's spending money to save money.
We are keeping.
Yeah. Oh, Waterbury, historic for 4 million, this is the roof, copper roof. Right, slate
roof.
roof,
Well, there's
Oh,
copper
copper
under the
is
slate.
copper.
Copper.
slate roof, this is ongoing. So you've got, with the 2 million in bonds for FY 27, you will have 4.6 million. So what are you gonna do with the 4.6 million?
We are looking to finish FGH and probably public safety, but it depends how those bids come in. We did very well with bidding a year and a half ago on this project. They came in a lot lower than what I anticipated. We did find some rot that have been addressed, but we've been, with the prices that they came in, we felt comfortable that this will get most of it, if not all. I'm not sure about tanks. But that'll be, if we're coming up short, it'll be in the next biennium to make up that balance.
Are they leaking now or is this? I mean,
They have been leaking, that's where the rot is coming from that we have not seen.
Yeah.
When we renovated that complex after Irene, there was some foam insulation that was installed, and that foam is keeping the water right close to the.
Yep.
You don't see it.
keep the 4 million total.
Yeah.
And then, what it's the parking garage, 32.
Excellent
Sharon.
investments.
I think another, Sean.
We only need 5 million.
I say we pick it up and move it down here.
Yeah,
Just
right.
take the whole thing up and go over here.
So we've got total bonded dollars is 2 million. The governor has proposed 3 million in cash for a total of 5 million. So between previous appropriations and the 500,000 in bond, 27, 3 million in cash, 27. Brings us to 7.8. They've spent 4.2. I'm rounding this all up. So there's 3.6 million left. What is that going to get us?
To complete the project. Right now, we're a little bit ahead of schedule. We started some demolition elsewhere throughout the project, but if I don't have the funding, I could do a halt.
Will we have it completed this fall?
Will be-
I think it's actually Mitch.
But it's an FY
Right, but
27.
it's,
Yeah, yes.
I would say keep it.
At this point, we're at 3.8 million that we've put aside from that first section.
It will change.
Just thought I'd throw that number out there.
Keep it to yourselves.
Okay. Don't say things like that on.
So there.
So
Yeah, you're
All
learning.
the other times too.
You're learning.
Exactly.
Learning. Okay.
Appropriations has already spent that money.
Just someone's
They've
listening.
heard it and spent it.
Well, a lot of that is bonded. A
True.
lot of it is bonded. So Agency of Human Services, so let's kick over to our graduate
Oh, boy.
facilities.
That's a different set of slides.
What
date was that?
You know, later you.
Kate was kind enough to put it into today's.
That is correct.
Later you.
We found our Wi-Fi.
It's this one. Okay.
Good for kids.
I got it.
So I did have it, but I don't.
Yep.
Ah, those are
This is
the
it right here, right? You can share it with me.
Water quality.
Right, because it's the 11.
Yeah, and I know I have it. I have
We're on
it.
section 3, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Yes.
not seeing that number. Oh, that's the bat. So the twin.
numbers.
Is the old, that's not right. That's the
Is this-
16. It's not. I can't find, so I know I have it.
This one here, right?
For me, Sean?
It's agency. of
This thing, the
It says
numbers,
January 30th on the front. Capital.
Not
No,
right,
What does it
I
say?
don't see it.
January 30th,
Well, that doesn't tell.
but it's capital bill adjustments.
Line 20.
Yeah, that doesn't help you.
It's looking at line 20 on our spreadsheet compared to line 20 in the slide. And they don't, I think I'm looking at line 20. Planning, design, construction, HVAC.
Yeah.
29, but I can't find it.
However, don't.
That's the same. Got it.
Hey, no, it's ADA compliance.
Oh, it's showing 9.6. The slide shows.
What if you have notes?
Oh, yeah.
And that's the notes, but not many.
I'm seeing the same. I'm seeing FY 20, I'm looking at the slide. FY 26 bond is 4 million. FY 26 cash was 9.43.
Because I
Yeah.
know that I've had
I
it.
think 7 cash.
FY
It expended 8.
1.05.
On your screen there, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I see. Oh, yeah, I see. I was just never,
I've got the 16.
oh, this shows a bond year.
No FY 27. Or, no FY
Not
26,
bonded.
no FY 26 cash.
This cash.
Oh, I see. This, but the slide shows all
Yeah,
9 point.
that's another fact.
Okay,
That's fine. You can-
that's 27
For-
bonded. Where it shows 26 cash in the slide.
Yeah, I'm
27.
seeing what you're saying.
Okay.
Yeah. The numbers are there, there's a typo.
But they're the same numbers, they're just in the wrong
Yeah.
place.
Yes.
So let's go to Agency of Human Services, DOC. HVAC system. So the Governor has proposed an additional 8.4 million, is that right? In bonded dollars for FY 27.
9.4.
If there's already 1 million that we put in bonded dollars, so he's proposing 8.4 million more.
Oh, right, yep.
And proposing an additional 1,050,000 in.
Right.
For that. For a total. I never do math in public. But anyway, it's about 9 million more.
Mhm.
It's gonna be more than that. No, it's about 9 million. So
This is the correctional facility, right?
Do what, Sean?
correctional facilities. So what we had to date. Oh, this isn't done right either. So we put in last year in FY 26, 4 million, in FY 27, 1 million. Yeah, this sheet isn't correct. So the governor is proposing an additional 8,426,000 for bonded dollars in FY 27. This sheet is not correct, because you're not incorporating the FY 27 bond.
It's correct on the.
You're putting it all in cash. The 9,426 is all.
Yeah, like that. I think the numbers are actually,
26, that's not right, it's FY 27 bonded.
yeah, they're not in the right spot on the slide.
I think the spreadsheet is correct, the slide is not.
Right. It's FY 27 bonded. And then there's an additional 1,050,000. So there's a total that we have to date for HVAC systems in our correctional facility of 20.4 million. We've expended 8.7. There's 11.6. What I have is there's going to be temporary cooling at Springfield and Newport summer. That would be in the staffing room, living units, not the,
In Southern State, Springfield, they will be in, there's a work conference room space in a living unit building that will be there.
And is it temporary?
Yes. And in Newport, there are a few other locations that I believe,
those two will be done this summer.
that's our intent, yes, to be ready. I don't think it'll be ready come near June.
Right, but like July or August.
Or it might be Newport long, right?
And then Springfield would be more middle of the summer, end of the summer.
Or it would be kind of- I can't remember, I'm sure. I didn't bring my notes for section 3.
We'll excuse you.
Thank you.
It makes sense. So to do the complete air conditioning, what I have here for Springfield, that's the priority, and then Newport. And then St. Albans and Caledonia are kind of connected. So,
St. Albans.
I mean, not St. Albans, Johnsbury and Caledonia, the work camp. So for Springfield, what I have here was to go out to bid in April. Is that still the plan?
Springfield, right now, we just received last week a draft guaranteed maximum price from our contractor, and we are reviewing that. Once we approve that, we will pre-order the equipment. And I'm not sure how soon they will start work on the piping today. We have those.
So, and what is the projected cost of that particular project? Ballpark, because I know you're negotiating the guaranteed maximum price.
We don't have that up there.
Was it 3 million?
I want to say it was more closer to 6.
6? And what I recall from when you were in here before, the goal is to have that facility completed by the end of the year.
If our chiller or air handling system comes in on time, yes. But I have no control over that. If it's at the end of the year, it'd be later in the year, it probably would not be in place certainly for it to be used, unless there is a unit sitting someplace that is. It should.
So there'd be no air conditioning throughout the whole facility for this summer, but there would be in the summer of 27. And Newport is next. And you're gonna be doing design work or anything for Newport within that 8.4 million? Or is the 8 point? Is the 8.4 million gonna get you through Springfield? Because I have a note here that the remainder is not enough for Springfield to complete.
We will get through Springfield, it's whether or not we'll have enough funds to complete Newport. So these funds here that have been expended is also encumbered funds with our contractor that we have in place. To start that, because it starts the pre-construction work of each project. So that gives our construction manager underway talking to their subcontractors, getting better pricing, how to better get the work done as proposed, what was proposed by the design team. They look at it and say, you know, this could be a higher cost for one reason or another, and this would be a better route for you to go. Design team analyzes it, we discuss it, and pick one way or another. Because sometimes contractors doesn't understand our full scope of what we want. So it can be a better way at times. Sometimes it's switching mechanical equipment. We BGS have gotten great experience over the years of trying not to put in equipment that we cannot maintain over the years. So that, you know, even though it may be less expensive by a contractor, we would shy away from it.
So the where, yeah, so 8.4, that's what your balance is gonna be. No, I got the wrong sheet. It's 11.6.
Yes.
Sorry, I was looking at the wrong one. So the 11.6 will complete Springfield. You could get started on Northern.
Yes. How far along I don't know, we're still at a set of drawings in front of me for last. And we're looking at how to bring power to the air conditioning units. Right now, the existing building power, there's not enough in that equipment to handle the load for the air conditioning equipment nor the generator. We have a similar problem in Springfield, it will not be able to work under generator power. But it will be, the way Springfield's designed, different than Newport. Springfield has primary power on the inside of the facility and you get to tap that and use that. Newport, the primary is outside the facility. And so we'll be tapping in one or two locations. One of them brings a new pole to the edge of the perimeter road. We trench across to one of the buildings to bring the power in. The other one is where our transformer is, just closer to the admin A2 building where our maintenance shop is. You come in through there, run a trench to one of the buildings to bring the power in.
That's not gonna impact anything with the boiler project or the ponds?
The route that brings us in where we put a pole near the perimeter road and in, yes, we'll be crossing roughly right over our stormwater. But missing the heat plant. So, I'm a super fun on the side, I guess, so. Because of that, our stormwater ponds will be in place in advance. Power to come in, and that power is overhead that goes over the stormwater pond, so that would not impact the pond. It's just bringing, when you're looking at total site security, we're bringing a pole closer to the perimeter fencing road than probably what I would like, but it may be our best option to do that as opposed to digging up and trenching from the existing transformer. And if you know the site that's up by the truck trap is in between A2, and we'd be coming down around VCI 1 all the way to B building. So there's pluses and minuses in both plans. We haven't selected yet, but that's part of this design review that's going through.
So where are we as a committee?
Full steam ahead.
Full steam ahead?
Can't cut anything.
I still say you can't. Yeah, so just leave it D.
Okay. Accessibility upgrades?
Kill them.
Huh?
Oh, that was awfully.
ADA. This is ADA compliance.
That's right.
Does this finish it? Does this finish it up at all? The
Yes.
1.9 finishes? it?
Yes, we will be done at all three locations.
At all three, but what about for the whole system?
The settlement was only at Southern State, Northern State, and Chittenden. So the funds that we had asked for address the concern of those two states.
Yeah, so we keep that.
Mhm.
Safety upgrades. 225, 200. We put in, last year, we put in 225 bonded, 200 bonded. And the governor is recommending an additional 225 in cash. And that gives you 606. That's for safety and security upgrades. And it would include security cameras, secure fencing, suicide prevention efforts, compliance with FRIA, and replacing ventilation grills, bunks, stools, and tables. This is kind of an ongoing project.
Yes, this is sort of, if, not really major maintenance for corrections. Corrections, the one who are the ones who select the projects for this fund. And they're the ones that, they need another camera over here. That wouldn't come out of major maintenance or any of the fund that we have, so that's what this fund is for. But they've had a potential escape or something like that, they need additional fencing. They said, that this fund here pays for that additional fencing.
So why is there an increase of 225,000 over the 200 in FY 27?
Because corrections is behind. They are realizing that cameras are a wonderful thing, but they don't have enough of them.
Mhm.
Because you never have enough once you know the blind spot. That's just it. So then they're at another camera. There's. There were. Cash. By your name, I think they did not get funding. Maybe we missed a year or two.
Uh-huh.
And so I think they're just behind. Catching up.
Where are we, folks?
I would leave it. I would.
Leave it alone.
Door controls in Rutland, $500,000 in bonded in FY 27. And they are next in line to do all the upgrades for doors, lights, cameras, fence, perimeter intrusion detection system, the whole gamut.
Yeah, this will complete the design.
Yes.
Will we do the work
Dude.
just to complete the design?
Right, we are now presently working with the construction manager on. The construction at sort of at Northeast Regional Facility to work here. And then it was.
You were gonna move money between the two, right?
You gave us language to do that, we could, yes, that is, once we were done with Northeast Regional, if there were funds left over, we could then move to Rutland with those funds. And then when we put capital together, there's a 2.7 million in there that's under statewide door controls, so we'll be able to. If they were looking to do. Was instead of just naming out each facility in your language and start providing additional language, we could then move to the next facility. If there's funds left over or use them. For simply work.
So between the total 3.6 million in St. J for door control and the $500,000 in Rutland, you're moving them between, I mean, whatever is left in St. J will be applied to Rutland.
That is correct. And then if there is. Yeah, but if there was funding left over in Rutland, it would go to the next site. And I have to work with directions to find out what is the next site. Is either St. Albans. Or Chitney.
And will there be enough money to do anything?
Probably not, other than maybe start the design.
But you won't know that until next December.
That is correct.
Yeah,
By next December, you mean?
this coming, yeah, for next budget year. All right,
Is there any logic in merging a few of these lines just to
that's what I'm kind
get
of
more
wondering.
flexibility?
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering too. I would merge St. Albans and St. J.
I'm hearing the word fund.
I mean, St. J and Rutland,
23 and 24.
yeah.
What about 27, maybe?
Yeah, it's all door stuff.
Yeah, what is
25.
for the whole, I haven't gotten that far. So the door control down on funds 27, that's 2.7 million in cash.
Mhm.
Would so this would put in the systems that that are currently being put in, that were put in Newport and Spring. So would any of this 2.7 go towards St. Johnsbury and Rutland?
Not knowing the price tag yet for St. Johnsbury, I'm not sure. It would definitely go to Rutland. We didn't tap this for St. Johnsbury, yes.
No, what happened with this?
What happened, boss?
No. saying it on the record. I know what happened. Okay, so how many, for these facilities, which facility is going to have to relocate incarcerated folks? Is there going to be any relocation in Newport or Rutland?
Newport's complete. So it's St. John's.
I mean, St. Johnsbury, that's what I was.
Presently, they have been able to absorb them into the system without having to send them out of state. So we've been able to get a pod at a time. And that is still the intent going forward. There would be up to corrections to have that crystal ball when we're going out to construction if they can empty a unit. The units are smaller in both St. Johnsbury and Rutland. So when that comes underway, that's a high probability. But I'd never know because it's a day-to-day head count. But that is our intent. If we have funding in here to cover additional officers because of that. As opposed to what we did when we first did Springfield, we had asked for additional funds to house them out of state. Corrections was able to pull that off, that moving up people around for the additional officers. And so that went to covering their costs, and that's how we've been doing it to date. I won't know until I think we have an actual construction date, which is it. The intent certainly is to keep them in state.
So right now, you've got for door controls for St. Johnsbury and the work camp, you've got 6.7 million. And then you add another $500,000 for Marble Valley to that. So you got 7.2 million. And then there's an additional 2 million being added on top of that.
Can we cut 2 million?
Think about that first. And the 6.7 million that they have currently will get them through St. Johnsbury and the work camp, and whatever is left would be put towards Marble Valley. On top of that 500,000, but you would have to do some design work for Marble Valley, or could you actually do the construction?
The work at Marble Valley the building of Marble Valley is very similar to St. Johnsbury. There will be some minor design changes, but a lot of that design work, the footprint's almost identical. So just that, some of the power panels and the likes of that were in a different location, towers different, so that has to be evaluated. We haven't started that yet. But it's the design of Rutland is not going to be as expensive as it was from St. Johnsbury.
Could we cut 1 million and 2 million?
So you cut 1 million out of the 2, and that leaves you 1.5 million go towards Marble Valley.
Where is the 2?
It's on cash on line 27.
Oh, I thought we were talking about like 23.
0.7. It's 2.7 million.
But are you merging them? Are you merging lines?
Yeah.
No.
Or not?
Excuse me, line
Go
24.
to lines 27, FY 27 cash fund. The governor's adding 2.7 million on top of what's already being appropriated for lines 24 and
I
25.
get that.
So, okay, so Mary, you're proposing to change line 27.
Yeah.
2.7 cash for FY 27 to 2 even, is that what you're saying?
Or take
I take 2.
Yeah.
2 million.
And to leave it
lot
at
of money.
700?
A lot of money.
Do we need language is what I'm suggesting to merge
Yes.
those line items. Yeah.
But that's a lot of money, folks.
So you're proposing to leave that line at 700 cash.
Mhm. But you got, right now, you've got Lines 23, you got 500,000. And then St. J, you got 3.6. So right there, you've got 4.1 million. And you can get Rutland, you can get St. J in the work camp. And then what's left over, you put towards Rutland. And you've got an additional 700 that you could put towards Rutland if you cut the 2 million.
Mhm.
So I would say if there's a 2 million or 1.5,
Million, I think.
I would go, I would take 2, but.
Yeah, I wasn't even questioning, I was making sure I understood what you were saying. So you would adjust that line to, when we're getting, before they're amalgamated to 700.
Yep.
Okay,
Sounds like a plan.
So you would have a total of 4.1 plus 700, you'd have 4.8 million for door controls. That's a lot of money.
So it may be a lot of money, but that's what we've been spending in the past, if not more.
How many more outside of Rutland, what have you got left to
We
do?
have Chittenden and St. Albans.
And
Again,
Chittenden,
I think St. Albans would be the most expensive because of the attic situation.
yeah, that was,
Sort of like AC, but it's these door frames are embedded into the concrete walls. So once that door frame is bent, it has to come out and be replaced. You don't get a complete door control system if the funds aren't there for that.
right.
So
And how long does it take to do a facility like St. J or Marble?
depending on the amount of work and the amount like replacing the concrete doors. It's hard to say because I haven't reviewed it. How much has to be done? So it's the hard part, but it's a good part of a year plus. At times to do that.
So come January, you're gonna know where we are with, you'll have St. J and work camp done, possibly, or you'll
I won't
be,
have it done, but it'll be well underway. We haven't
Well-
started construction. So that is where it is, but. Once they start, they want to keep going, but if there's not enough funds, then we can cover this stuff.
right, so you'll be doing construction at St. J and the work camp. You'll know what the bids come in for that. And at that same time, while that construction's going on, you can do the design documents for Rutland.
That'll be exactly what we think.
But you wouldn't actually go out to bid for Rutland.
Correct, because I would need a design in place. And then know my funding, what did I have left over from St. John's, Gary? Some of that stuff, depends on what they are, we can start in advance. But without the whole design package, I don't know. And what that additional ask is going to be next year.
Did a good job banking 2 million.
Mhm.
So we will combine, and we'll do this in language, and we'll do this on the spreadsheet to combine the door controls, and then we'll list out St. Johnsbury and Rutland.
But 23 and 24 go with 27, in language, that's.
Well, John,
Understand?
John Graff, legislative council, just so I'm understanding, we're gonna be talking about two different sections of capital there here, right? We're talking about section 3, which is your AHS appropriations in bonded dollars, and then your cash fund section. They're already separate anyway. And under section 3, BPS will already have authority to transfer unexpended balances between projects consent section.
right,
I think you're good, is what I'm saying. The cash appropriation that's set out in section 17 is stated at a sufficient level of generality to capture both projects, something like store control upgrades and state control facilities. You could add in that you want to specify those two, but you've already captured them.
so you're gonna structure the bill itself with a separate section for cash.
Yes.
That's
Just as the
what
existing-
John is saying.
Yep.
Not the spreadsheet. I don't believe. But the language in the bill, there'll be a separate section completely for cash.
Exactly. So I wanted to make sure that we were talking about the same thing, because I understand the request within the spreadsheet, but that kind of merging would not be possible within the capital bill itself, the statutory. Because we already have separate sections, and this is an amendment to the existing, it's a capital budget adjustment.
So what you're saying is we don't need to merge in the capital section on section 3. We really don't need to merge the St. J and Rutland because they already have the authority to move money between. And then when it's in section, the cash section at the end of the bill, it would be the amount for door controls
Which would
would
be
be
available to,
700,000.
exactly, and it would be available to both of those options.
Okay, that's fine.
It's a happy,
Happy,
I don't want to sound
Compromise.
happy, but I'm describing something happy.
Yeah. okay.
I sense this.
I can see it, I can see it.
There's a twinkle.
The sunbeams coming through the ceiling.
Okay, so Newport. Correctional facility in Newport is the beginning of a sprinkler system for $500,000. Now, I'm assuming that,
I missed St. Albans roof.
did I miss that? St. Albans? Oh, I'm sorry.
This is a different thing.
Yeah, St. Albans, I'm sorry. Oh, God.
We're used to it up there.
No, but this is so tied in with the booking area in some ways. And I know we did some language or moving money around last year for this. So where are we with St. Albans?
Well, our contractor has signed the. Oh, it's somewhere else.
What was that again, Joe?
We need our contractor to sign the contract. It is with them and then we're ready to go. They are anxious to start work. The reason they're hesitant is because there is an ad alternate for unit square foot price because of the type of roofing it is. It's called a protective roof with a hardboard on it. Protective really looks like shredded wheat. So it is structural. It's also an insulated R value to it. So it makes it for a great thing, but there is a harder board on top of that the roofing is actually nailed into. That square foot ad that we're doing is very expensive. It almost doubles the amount of the contract. And the contractor was like, well, if you don't need it, I hate to write a contract for that because of this bonding cost. And it's like, but it's what we need just in case, because I can't take part of it out. So we're expecting him to sign hopefully in the next week or two, and then we'll get the equipment, we'll be up there working on the roof this summer. And potentially even completed this summer. They want to get in and get out. And we will not be doing any of the roofing that would impact the entrance, the booking or admin entrance, because we know that that is in the near future also. Yeah.
So is it still replacing 10 roofs?
If I did my math right,
That's what it says on the sheet.
yes,
So is the 2.3 million going to complete that project?
yes,
It completes that project.
yes.
Onward.
So where are we with the booking area? Because that's been going on since 2022.
I'd seen a planning document that had suggestions on which way to go. All options were more than what we could afford, really, it was very expensive. Situation that made it more expensive was angling the garage sally port so that you could have sort of a drive-through situation so that the people delivering the individuals get a vehicle and drive through instead of having to back up and cross traffic. That just added more expense to the project. So I'm going to evaluate that to lower that cost. Also believe that the design team add additional, more than enough square footage in more areas than needed for office space and formal wisdom, and that's, we don't reevaluate. that. Once that is complete, we'll complete the schematic design and we will design documents.
So how much money do you have in the bank for that project? Do you know? Because we've done that. Hmm?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've done that. We did that in 22 and 23. 24 and 25. And I just don't remember. Can you find out? Get back to us how much is there. For the whole booking, and that booking area needs to get done. Because that's where all the folks from the northwest part of the state, males, go through. And there's what, 4 beds there maybe? I just want to know what we've got for booking. And more the time frame. We hope, get that project. Anything else on the roofing? Or the booking?
Fingers crossed.
Okay, sprinkler system, Northern State up in Newport. $500,000. And this is new. This would be for design documents, I'm anticipating, and maybe some of the work.
And maybe some of the work, yes.
Yeah.
The hard part is like, what I had shown you in the presentation was a rusted pipe.
Right,
And because it's a dry system, that water can sit in all the low spots. It's really trying to find out where all those low spots in the design. The pipes are already there, the drawings are there for the pipes, it's just a matter of them saying, these are the areas that have to be replaced. How much of that, and documenting that for them.
would you get that done in FY 27?
I believe we could, yes.
Keep it in, folks.
Yes.
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 Okay, skip down to 28. Here we go, the boiler. 2 million. We've funded this in the past. We've pulled the money out. We've funded it in the past.
Is it going anywhere?
3.5 million we've put in FY 25. And there's 2 million being requested in cash, FY 25. So there'd be a total of 5.1 million. So what's that 5.1 million gonna get us, Joe?
I have not done a square foot cost of what the building is going to cost us along with the boiler and what's that. I want to say it's most of it, but I don't really know. Until we're complete moving, building around and what we have to do. So what we had to evaluate with everything, was the plan that I had shown you was our best possible location. Based on the existing site and everything else. We're fixed on that now, going to be moving forward, and I'll get into the greater design details of that. It's roughly a building that's a slab on grade, so that when we are backing in the trucks, it's at that same elevation. Because we're in the Northeast Kingdom, that'll be a 5.5 foot deep frost wall. And then it's a metal building on top of that. On the yard side, it may be concrete or block wall, because that will become our perimeter. Because we're tight for space out there. If we don't do the work, the wood boilers, well, we're not operating on wood right now, our wood stack taking off and starting to collapse. That's what we're on oil. And if we don't build this, we could potentially stay on oil if there's a problem with the wood boilers or with the being able to find frustrated individuals to operate.
But you're planning to order the boilers,
Yes,
right?
absolutely. They can come in and I can have a concrete slab in place, ready to go to accept it with.
As long as you move the ponds.
The ponds first.
So what's the 5.1 million that you've got now? Is that gonna complete the project, do you think? For the boiler?
Don't want to go on record and say it will. But I don't know enough information right now. I'm hoping that, worst case 80%, something like that. But until I complete the design documents, I'm not 100% sure. We are having to shift the truck trap a little bit. We're up against our main primary power line coming into the building. And without physically locating that, I'm not 100% sure.
And this is likely to start in 2027.
This late fall,
Of this year?
late summer, fall of this year for the ponds to be relocated in order of the boiler.
All right with this?
Yeah. Putting our faith in you, Joe. You're welcome.
Then I also wanna know. 3.5. So, 29. This is the new juvenile center. You are going out to bid. Have you gotten those bids back?
Where's it getting?
They went out to bid, it's a design build, so depending on who bid on it,
Yeah.
it will determine where it might be built. The issue is not necessarily that, it's who's gonna operate it.
Right.
There's some issues around that.
I don't have that side, I only have the instructions.
I know, but we gotta coordinate both sides.
So we don't have the property and we don't.
Well, we're working on it. So you went out with an RFP,
We
right?
went out for an RFP, we have a design builder in mind, and having conversations with them to evaluate the cost that as we have presented it. We do not have an executed contract yet for the design. What we had done this time around, which was a little bit separate than when we were doing Virgin's, is we will be executing a contract for the design. So we can control easily pay out at each phase as it's completed. And then we will go into the lease for operating and construction and operation. So, but we're still in that negotiating phase right now of the cost.
So I know we've reallocated dollars from this before, so I don't know what you had in hand. The date prior to the 772,000. Because I know we reallocated, because at one point we were gonna build, and then we decided we weren't gonna build, we were gonna go out to bid for a design build. So we reallocated, I think we had 3 million, we reallocated some of that. We need a little bit left,
I don't recall.
the RFP.
It's not, I don't because we gave it back some.
Yeah, it's-
We're not a lot.
Yeah, so what is the 700,000 gonna be used for?
It'll be used to help, I think, with the design portion of this project. And any of the balance paid for, I'm gonna get to the lease.
So are you BGS still working with DCF in terms of their proposal was originally campus style, where there was a building with rooms for acute folks and stabilizing, and then other buildings for step down housing and rehab and educational programs as well. Is that still the plan? Do you know?
Yeah, it's still a plan where just still working with DCF. Currently to look at that, how it is in the last think we ended up, at the end of, toward the end of the gens is. That, and certainly by having 5 separate buildings, the cost is greater, can be reduced. Bringing the buildings together without changing any of the operations of the building.
And the lease payments to the developer will be coming out of DCF's operating budget. So, John, we're gonna need some language in coordination with House appropriations and in coordination with House Human Services. Because there's some issues percolating out there, not in your world, but it's tied into how far along BGS goes with the proposed developer. Because there's questions that the other folks are having on the policy side in terms of who is DCF, what is DCF going to contract out with, and what is the cost of that. And what they're seeing now for the cost is in Middlesex, there's 4 beds. That's what River Valley, is that what that's called? That's where the
River Valley, I think, steady, red.
Red Clover. It's costing DCF about $2,800 per day per person per bed. They are also putting online down in Brattleboro, which used to be the old Vermont Yankee, with the sheriffs, and they're contracting out the separate entity there, I believe. I don't think it's the same one at Red Clover. But what Human Services and Appropriations is hearing is about 4,400 per kid per day.
Where's that?
Brattleboro,
They have
Vermont Yankee used to.
buildings
I
already?
have 3 or 4 beds in there.
They have buildings on it?
Yeah, it was the old Vermont Yankee. It was
It's a training building in the office, what it is.
that's been undergoing renovations for 3 years.
Paying for that.
DCF, or some of the renovations, so that didn't come out of BGS, that came out of DCF. But there's 3 or 4 beds, and what they're hearing for cost is about 4,400 per bed.
Per day.
Per day.
Wow.
Which is insane.
So they're saying, whoa, wait a minute here, if we do this this bigger one, which we don't know how many beds we're looking at. How many beds are we looking at for the new facility total? 14? Are we still gonna, what they need to figure out, are we still gonna contract out for the operations of that, or is it gonna be cheaper to have state employees?
And there's been wariness around the provider too, right?
Hmm?
There's been wariness around the provider too. I think.
Well, they don't know who the provider will be either,
But that
but they
provider,
have to go out to contract, and they can't get an answer from DCF.
but that provider's out of state, the one
Oh,
that's
yeah.
charging us $4,400 a
Well,
day.
and
per
it's an
person.
out-of-state provider as well for up at River Valley. I don't think it's
Red
the
Clover.
same provider as the one down in Brattleboro. I'm not sure on that. But one thing I suggested to the chair of Human Services this morning, because we talked about this, we should have language in the capital bill for this project.
It's Sentinel in Red,
Mhm.
it's Sentinel in Red Clover. Sentinel
And I
group.
don't think that's the one for down in Brattleboro. It's a different one. That there needs to be check-ins from both BGS and DCF, the Joint Justice Committee, over the summer and fall on the progress here, because one will determine the other. We don't want to get into going too far down the road with BGS with negotiations with the developer if we don't know what the policy is going to be with DCF in terms of how we're going to pay for operating this and who is going to operate this.
The chair of the committee know those answers.
No, that's part of, they're trying to get the answers. They're trying in appropriations to get the answer, and they're
Put
trying.
a facility together without having the information. Know what we're doing.
Wow,
West River Haven and Brattleboro. Different provider.
it's a different provider,
3 bed.
3 beds. So they're trying to get information from DCF that not able to. We're in this position of going forward to try to get a facility built. You can't really build a facility till you know what you do, what you're actually doing policy wise and what the cost of that's going to be. So if we could have some language that kind of ties all of this together in all these different bills. And I suggested to the chair of Human Services that DCF and BGS would need to check in with Justice Oversight during the summer and fall.
Yeah.
As to the progress or lack thereof, so that Justice Oversight could weigh in. You might want to talk to Katie McLean on this, John, because she's been working on this.
All together to actually come to a plan before just having them come back with their own ideas of not really knowing what we can and can't do.
Joe, is there one potential site right now for this facility?
Yes, it's one side.
And when will we know?
Or so. I think we'll have a contract in place.
And we need to be clear what this $772 and 55, they really needed to put
To the design.
go towards the design.
Yes.
Maybe we don't release it till we know what's going on.
It's going to be my suggestion. I don't see how we can be funding something.
So when you say go towards the design, that would be BGS working with DOC? I mean, with DCF?
Yes.
So I think the language should, for justice oversight, they would need to work with BGS for the design and their coordination with DCF on that design would be one piece for that. And where in the process they are and what the design looks like, so that that committee can weigh in on that. It's not to tie your hands. BGS is to make sure that BGS doesn't make down one path, and DCF is like saying something completely different to the policy committees. So that seems to be happening. We don't want to delay this project, but we also want to make sure everybody's on board and knows what the cost is going to be, because if there's a situation, the policy gets made somewhere, it wouldn't be us. It'd be our policy committees and appropriations committees that may make the determination. We don't want to contract out for services. We want to do it in-house with state employees. And that's a whole different ballgame and a whole different conversation. But we don't want to have a problem with BGS being too far in advance. Or not getting the proper information, and then they design something and then have to go back to the drawing board. Things change as we go along. And I would question 772,557.
That's not a good enough number. Would you like it rounded?
Well, they needed to round something, so that's where it went. Between that and major maintenance, that's where it went.
I was thinking 542 for blood.
Full sense.
So that one I would flag, because that one's gonna need a little bit more work.
Flagging.
But you're not gonna know, you won't be able to come public with who you're negotiating with or anything for about a month, right?
Do we have an executive contract? Signed by them, right?
End of April. Conference, man.
That's what I'm not understanding. How do you have a contract before you have technically a plan?
They have a plan, they just don't know who's going to, in DCF, who's gonna implement it. Are they gonna contract out for services?
That or where it's going to be.
Well, that's up to the RFP out there with a design build. Because the developer has the land.
That's correct.
Developer has the land. And the developer will be building the building on the land, and then we lease back the building. With maybe an option to purchase in 20 years, and maybe not. Depends how that contract gets negotiated. The reason you do a design build, you take pressure off the capital bill, to build it, but you're putting pressure on the appropriations piece. Because you gotta pay that lease payment to the general fund, so you're gonna be increasing the state budget. To save on the cap. That's the trade. So let's keep plugging for 10 or 15 more minutes. Flip the page.
These sections done.
Yeah, those are the big sections.
Probably get
Farmers,
this last one.
farmers and community development. Major maintenance at the historic sites.
What's that range?
Section that should be looking at.
Organized. What do we want to do with our major maintenance?
State historic sites?
Yeah, for state historic sites, yep. They're always in need.
They're beyond a need. I mean, there are sites that just don't get any attention because there isn't enough money.
Here's my tears.
And frankly, and if we had Laura here at some point, I don't think it's for this year. But at some point, needs to be an earnest conversation. Is there gonna be more money, or are the sites that we just need to direct ourselves up if we're not curators of them?
We had that conversation. Yeah.
Huh? Right, that's a good, but like I'll pick on, Chester Arthur and Fairfield. Vice Chair's district, that just get, and it's not even, it's a replica building.
Yep.
But it gets no attention. And so, and I understand it's not one of the more highly visited sites, but there are other sites as well that just, I mean, at that funding level, you simply can't maintain all the sites at an appropriate level.
What would folks like to do?
Leave
Leave it.
Want to leave it?
It's not.
No concern.
Information on their documents here.
I don't think you need to worry about them banking excess fund.
No, I'm not worried about it. I want to make sure that there's enough there to get through what projects they're planning on doing. Because there was no adjustment. So we're okay keeping it as we had it?
Yes.
Yep.
Underwater preserves?
Yeah.
Stays pretty stable. I have asked joint fiscal to take a look at the 3Bs. 2.5 million, it's cash, see how much is, where that went, where it's gone, if there's anything left. Roadside markers, there's an increase that the governor has proposed of 20,000. That was to take care, they've had a big increase because of the 250-year anniversary. They've had a big increase, and that's what that is to go towards.
I think you were taking that out of some reclaimed money from Repo.
Repo.
Big.
To me, it all goes on the bottom line.
Right.
So does that stay?
Yep.
Yes.
And then the Bennington Monument.
Not saying a word.
425 we put in last year to also, that went with some previous money that we reallocated for them to do a study to figure out how we move forward.
So, have any news for us?
Anybody have any news?
I'm going down to Washington DC and taking a tour of the Washington Monument and figuring out what they do inside. Cause I can't get any information out of Balance office. They're not getting back to me about what they do with mechanicals in Bennington. I mean, in Washington.
Don't they even do that during town meeting, right?
No, that didn't happen.
Did you try,
It's too
did you
sick.
try
Oh,
Peter?
that's.
I haven't tried Welch, but they're because of the government shutdown,
Right.
they're really like dragging their feet about getting any information out of the Washington Monument. But I'm just gonna go down, I can go and take pictures and talk to the guys there and I'll figure it out.
Can you get into it?
Sure. They have
And- Vermont Mechanical, who installs and maintains train air conditioning systems, is willing to look at the monument. And they've asked for drawings of the mechanical and the electrical and the plumbing. So they can say, if we were gonna fix your humidity problem, here's what it would take, what kind of equipment we could put in to keep the moisture down. So I need to ask that question of the appropriate person to get those specifications to them.
So is historic preservation, are they working with Vermont, with, what is
No.
it called?
You just call them.
No, you
I just called them offhand, but they're already doing work in Bennington, other locations, so they're familiar with doing government business. They just weren't familiar with the mining, so they visited, they see what it is, now they need a little bit more detail about,
You need some drawings
they
from
need
them,
some drawings.
which I'm sure there exist,
So
right?
if you.
Joe,
let me know-
there's drawings of the monument, so.
And the whole thing, top to bottom, inside out.
6 ways to Sunday. Right.
Who should I send that kind of a request
Or
to?
Richmond,
Yeah.
shipper.
Yeah.
So should we put in any language pertaining to the monument in terms of what we'd like to see? Data or steps going forward that need to be met? So can help us make a decision going forward? Alternatives that we want to look at? What are people thinking?
I feel like such a layperson on this still that I would barely even know what they asked for to help me.
Yep.
But, maybe if the subcommittee was wrestling with some ideas there, it's,
So there was you and Sean and was it Mary?
There's only 3 or 4 of these structures in the United States. One of them is 10 hours south of here and sits on the National Mall. I was
The other
hoping
one's
that
here.
some people could help us from our
Delegation.
government delegation, and I'm not getting anywhere. I've reminded the guy a couple times and I'm not getting any love from Balance office, from the guy who does that for a living.
Mhm.
Sense frustration.
Top secret.
Well,
I mean, they don't want to tell you.
It's not, it's an air conditioning, some kind of system. They shut the thing at night. They have an enclosed building, which I am in favor of. I think that's the way to do it. Put a door on it, put windows on it, put AC and heat in it and call it good. That would be the least expensive way to go. Run it for a year. And I bet you we would get our humidity down, heat up, the thing would start to dry out. Then we can replace the elevator and the stairs inside.
Well,
And it would be easy.
well, and again, we asked if any of the data, they had not, historic preservation had not gotten any of the data that we've paid for.
Right. No, we have all that.
We now
They
have
did
it.
get
We did get all that. But it's like a chart that looks, we gotta have to be like, it's hard to read. It's nothing that I'm comfortable like telling you like anything about.
When did you get that?
She gave it to us, a month ago.
Question is, what do you do? It's gonna get humid, then it's gonna dry out.
Right.
It's gonna get humid, then it's gonna dry out. It doesn't tell you what to do to fix the problem.
Your guys, I think, are gonna be able to tell us.
So I don't like to overpromise, but I think if we got them some drawings, they could come back with some ideas. Because their salesperson would love to do a system.
Nothing more than to hook us up with a train
Some
system.
with the
there.
trained people, I bet you they'd love to give us a proposal.
And you're not talking $50 million.
We don't know that,
Let's 40, let's not raise it.
40. Sorry.
It was.
Sorry, Mary, 40
But no, that's it.
Perhaps.
perhaps.
Yeah, but again, that was a number thrown out without even having a plan of
No,
doing
exactly.
jack squat. I mean, so,
This would be a much more affordable way to fix it. So I don't know what to ask Laura, other than she's been very helpful with us though.
Hey, no,
Every time
I'll
she shows up,
I'll
she's
send her the request
been nothing but helpful.
and see what they come back with, and
Right.
I would imagine that Vermont Mechanical can say, hey, you gotta seal the whole thing off and you gotta install 3 chillers of this size, that if you run them 24 hours, 7 days a week, it's gonna cost you X number of dollars a year. That's the kind of business they do all the time.
And then I don't recall, there's no new money proposed in 27, but is there any existing money left from 26?
No, well, that went for the report back, and we we put that money towards with previous money. So it was like 550 total for this study. We did some reallocations and it matched money that they already had.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what 25 is.
Yeah, I remember that. I just.
And it was supposed to be for a study so that we would have a better idea on how we were gonna move forward. And are they still in the process of doing that study? Nobody knows.
I'm not sure exactly where they are.
Why don't you three reach out to Laura again and see where we are with this?
Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna quit here in a few minutes. Building community grants. There, I think we're all supportive of this. But there is something percolating with the Franklin County Field Days that we have to look at, right?
Mhm.
And what should we do? Who do we need to get in for this?
Well, let's talk, because we'll have to figure it out.
Do we need to do, one thing that we need to do, and I need a conversation with the repro group.
We need people from ag from the program.
Ag and,
Transportation, huh?
and they don't usually come in. There is repo, if you could look at the building community grants language in statute. There is a time limit for reallocations of projects. If dollars have been appropriated to a project and it hasn't gone, project hasn't gone out, that money has to return. Franklin County Field Days is bumping up to that. And also, Scott, if you could also work maybe with John, we put in some language in previous capital bills. I think it was probably in 24 maybe, 24 session. That we allowed them to extend part of that if it went towards a specific purpose. And I know we've put in language, I think in the capital bill, and it might have been 24 session. So if you can do something, because they're bumping up
The 3 years.
against, Franklin County Field Days is bumping up against that time frame.
I think that once we figure out on the state side of, we maybe have them come, field days come. Maybe, maybe not, but my understanding, I think Joel's is as well, that it's only, I think right now they have a 2-year lease or something. So we gotta find out that detail as well.
There's a lease with the right to buy, and there may or may not be. It needs to be determined if there are any concerns with the host municipality and that proposed land use on a long-term basis, and I don't think that that's 100% determined.
So we need to know, and Scott, this is where you can, you folks, we need to know how much money from the building community grants, the ag fairs have gone to Franklin County over the past 6 years.
Yeah, it's a may up until 3 years, and it's a shall reallocate after 3 years.
Yes. It's a May after how many years?
It's a shall after
And it's,
May until then. Let me, you want me to just read it? Notwithstanding 32 VSA, which if after an entity awards grant funds under this chapter, the funds remain unexpended and not subject to a grant agreement, the entity may reallocate the unexpended fund within its grant programs within 3 years of the original grant award date. Any expended funds remaining after this 3-year period that are not subject to a grant agreement shall be reallocated after 3 years.
So Scott, we really need to see how much money has been put towards Franklin Field Days. There was some stipulation, because I remember I sat down with the Franklin County delegation
The figures go ahead.
and we made a decision there in terms of putting in language, because they had some money coming up for reallocation that they hadn't expended, to give them a little extra time. I don't know if that money has been expended and what's coming up. And I don't know who in the Agency of Ag works on administrating
Yeah.
the ag fairs,
I do.
capital dollars. So it'd be good to also connect that person and see if we could have a conversation with them.
And I don't know the extent of it, but they are doing some infrastructure work on the site right now. So, because last year they were latent.
So if we could get the person from the
Abby.
Agency of Ag, no, it's not Abby. No, not for the ag grants. I don't think Abby will, this probably not this year.
Anson told me to talk to her, but that was a couple weeks ago.
There was another person, I don't think the person's there. We've got to find out the person in the Agency of Ag who deals directly with the ag fairs capital projects. They have a competitive grant program. So I would like to have that person come in and talk to us this week in terms of what's out there for Franklin County as well, what they're saying. Okay. All right, we see public goods. We're pretty fried. We're gonna pick up tomorrow morning, the vet's home. And, you know, we're gonna need BGS kind of here and there. I don't know, okay, because I know we'll probably have questions pop up. But we're gonna keep working through the spreadsheet. We'll meet at 8:30 tomorrow. I know we're gonna be long on the floor, but we really need to get this bill in shape. We need to get through the first markups, know where we are.
Yeah.
Depending what happens on the floor tomorrow, our parole board builds up for reading. Gina's up to the gender equity bill. There's some other important issues coming up on the floor tomorrow, but if there's going to be a section of time that's really going to be boring on the floor and people aren't interested in bills,
From 1 to 5.
I'm going to ask. I'm going to ask.
Line, Barry.
I'm so.
I'm going to ask to see if the committee can come up.
Yes.
Want to take you away from any bills that people are interested in, or there's a lot of debate. You know, when you get into a long day, there's some thoughts there. And maybe if we could squeeze in an hour's worth of work here. So 8:30 tomorrow morning, and we'll start with the bets.